fact that one, men hate themselves, and two, like, men naturally want to be subservient to the women in their lives. They naturally want to serve the women in their lives. Like,
when I'm scheming against a man, I break it up into specific phases. The first phase is the assessment phase. I'm asking myself questions like, does he have family members he's close with, or does he keep to himself? Because that's going to change the way I go about things. To you, there's a girl on here who made a video saying her ex-boyfriend gave her a goat and she raised the goat, and when they broke up, he ate it. And that's you want to ruin a man's life. I respect that and I want to help you do it correctly. But before we get into the how, I need you to understand that what I do is essentially a full-time job, which is why I can never work a 9 to 5. When I'm scheming against a man, I break it up into specific phases. The first phase is the assessment phase. I'm asking myself questions like, does he have family members he's close with, or does he keep to himself? Because that's going to change the way I go about things. Does he have a job that I can make him lose, or is he already unemployed? If he's already unemployed, I have to get more creative when it comes to the financial devastation angle, which can take a lot more time. Is he the type of man whose reputation matters to him? Or does he have absolutely no shame? Because shameless men require an entirely different strategy, and I need to know this before I start to invest resources. Does he have a car note, a lease, any outstanding debt, any financial responsibility that I can put pressure on as things start to build up? What is his relationship with his mother like? Does she trust him? Does she think highly of him? Does she have a Facebook? If she has a Facebook, that is an asset that we can use later down the line. Once the assessment phase is complete, I move on to strategy development. This is where I map out the full executive plan and the order of operations. The sequencing has to be perfect. You can't disrupt his workplace and not also send a letter to his landlord breaking his lease, because then he still has a comfortable place to come home to, and that kind of defeats the purpose. Then we move on to procurement.
Stop it. Get some help.
This is where I source my materials. Sometimes that means placing several online orders in advance because I need everything to arrive before I need it. Because I've learned from past experiences that online delivery isn't always reliable. And you don't want to get to a point in the plan and not have your resources accessible. Sometimes we end up having to visit multiple stores because you can't purchase everything required in one purchase, or it looks kind of suspicious. And sometimes procurement means gaining access to a location that I wasn't necessarily invited into. This has its own separate planning window that I won't discuss in detail here, but I will tell you that it is time consuming and it requires a lot of strategy. Then comes execution, which can span a single afternoon or several consecutive weeks. I have run operations for 30 days straight with daily deliverables and zero margin for error. I treated it like a full-time job because it was. And then there's the monitoring phase, where I observe results from a safe and comfortable distance and make adjustments in real time depending on what's needed. This phase requires
I can't let her keep talking. I know you guys, you're feeling it. You gotta play the Twilight Zone music with her, right? She's insane in the membrane. You guys remember that song? Insane in the membrane. What insane? Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain. That's her. When you hear that song, insane in the membrane. But you don't hear it anymore. But you guys know House of Pain back in the day. For all my guys that are old school, this is her.
around the clock availability because situations can escalate at any hour and I need to be able to be responsive. A 9 to 5 cannot give me that flexibility. HR cannot give me that flexibility. A manager who I have to give 2 weeks notice when I need a day off cannot provide me with that level of flexibility. So for those of you who are
So if you can't get that from a job, what are you relying on for your money? We're gonna get to that next.
aspiring to ruin men's lives like I do, the very first step is figuring out how to work for yourself. You need full autonomy over your schedule. You need the availability to disappear for 48 hours with no question asked. and no need to put it in PTO because that can be used as evidence against you further down the line. You need to be your own boss. I say this as someone who has built an entire career out of something that she is deeply passionate about. Find what you love. Make sure your schedule can accommodate it. And if you do end up still having to have a boss, make sure your boss has no idea what you're up to. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of So You Want to Ruin a Man's Life.
You can't make this up.
Wow. Right now, guys, I wondered what made her do this because a lot of people working at home. I teach how to do this, but she's telling how to do this, and I'm sure she has a course. I'm going to take a look at her account, right? I'm going to show you guys who she is, not to go over there and bring her down, but just so you guys know also for the video. I got to do this for the video, right? But this right here is straight sad. But it's not happening to the everyday man. I repeat, this may not happen to you, but it can happen to you. Because some ladies out there are cool for Cocoa Puffs, right? When I look at her, and what do you notice in her hair? The accent of purple. It's giving off witchcraft vibes, right? I'm just saying. This is spooky stuff. But watch this. This is her. Shout out to her. Definitely show support to her. Samaj and Focus, right? My Lens, no life, no filter. And also, look here. She has a baby daddy registry. I wonder why. Okay, you got to hit it with the Indian guy. I wonder why.
I wonder why.
And her link tree. And I took a look at the link tree. There's also other things in there, but a baby daddy registry? Are you getting at your baby daddy? I wonder, are you doing that? Let's do a crime scene investigation.
I'm about to ruin Christmas dinner for my ex for the next decade. Welcome to day 2 of How to Ruin a Man's Life in 30 Days. For legal purposes, this is satire. Today our target is his relationship with his mother. Ladies, if you are going to do this one, you do not want to use fancy stationery.
Hold up, and guys, you got to see this. You got to see what was happening in the comments. Take a look at this. At this point, I'm going to need to write a book, sis. This is tea. You see that? She has an audience. Females thrive on this. And men have an audience too. But you know what men thrive on? Watching this. Right? So men can see. Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? That's why so many men are getting their passport and going over yonder. But look at this. I adore her intros. You're so good at being bad. You should write a book. That's what females want. A book on being bad. But to who? And the reason why I speak on this, right, and every man does, is because some of you guys fall, because some girls don't just do it to every man. Don't just do it to one kind of man like the Pookie she made the baby daddy registry for, but you may fall a victim to it. A man that has no kids, right, that left her because you noticed something wrong with her. You noticed she had purple hair, right? You got close to her, but then she started rocking purple hair. And then you started noticing she likes candles, right? Why is it every time I go over her house, there's candles lit? Like, things like that make a man just walk out and never call again. And then she'll pull some witchcraft. Look, guys need to leave for certain reasons. And they'll fall victim to your little thing that you do too, right? Look at this. You're so good at being bad. Genuinely, who I aspire to be. They aspire to be this lady. This is sad.
Ladies, if you are going to do this one, you do not want to use fancy stationery. All you need is a plain sheet of notebook paper, and you can even crumple it up a little bit to make it look like you were in distress when you wrote it. Our letter to his mother says the following. Dear Miss Loretta, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I've written this letter 100 times over the last 5 years. I always throw it away. But I can't do it anymore. I'm not writing this to cause trouble. I don't want money or child support. I have a good job and we are doing fine. But my son, Junior, turned 5 last week. And for his birthday, all he asked for was to know who his father is. When I got pregnant back then, your son made it very clear that if I didn't fix the problem, he would make my life a living hell. He was so angry. So I promised to stay away and never tell anyone he was the father, not even my own parents. I've kept that promise for far too long. Junior is starting to look exactly like him. He has his eyes and his laugh. Lately, he has his temper too. It breaks my heart to look at him and see the man who didn't want him. I just thought, regardless of what your son did, a grandmother deserves to know her grandson exists. He is a good kid. I know it hurts to hear that your son has been lying to you for so long, and I'm sorry I participated. I won't contact you again. I just couldn't keep this secret anymore. Sincerely, and use a fake initial. Do not include a return address. Do not include a phone number. And make sure to include a photo of a random baby. At first, she'll read it and she'll be confused. And then she'll be absolutely horrified. He's gonna deny it. He's gonna scream that it's a lie. But his mother will never look at him the same. Follow for day 3 where I wreak even more chaos on my ex's life. I'm off to mail this one, ladies.
Females eat it up. They eat it up. If you want, mail it to me. I can mail it to her so that it'll be from a different zip code. 17,000 likes. 17,000. You guys see it. 200 likes. Welcome to day 2 of How to Ruin a Man's Life in 30 days. Oh, I'm sad. 11,000 likes. I'm not writing this to cause trouble. Hear me out. Don't use just any random baby's picture. Create one that looks like a mini him with AI. Disturbing stuff.
Will do some evil shit to you. There's a girl on here who made a video saying her ex-boyfriend gave her a goat and she raised the goat, and when they broke up, he ate it. And that's exactly the type of shit I'm talking about. I saw another girl in her comments who said that her fiance broke up with her for losing her engagement ring 3 weeks before that, and he ended up proposing to another woman with the same ring because she hadn't actually lost it. He took it back and then used the fact that she lost the ring as the excuse for calling off their engagement. So when I say I did something like pressure washed a man's full name and social security number into the street in front of his house, y'all want to look at me sideways, telling me how evil that is, how I shouldn't do things like that. If you don't start traumatizing these men back, they're never going to feel like they need to stop traumatizing you. Somebody has to teach them a lesson. Because what the mean? He got married and he wore your father's watch at his wedding. He refused to give it back. Absolutely not. We got to get this under control.
So what did the guy did to you? You still didn't tell us. Like, I want to know. What did he do to you? Because I understand traumatizing those guys, but the word is getting out there. And what's happening is so many females will be traumatizing guys. And you wonder why men aren't dating. They don't want to date. They don't want to date this. Men are running from this. It's not for no reason. And you always see the truth down in the comments, right? I got to do it. 4 years ago, I annulled the marriage which affected his immigration status. I also submitted documentation to immigration with evidence of his fraud. Because what do you mean you need me for a green card and thought I wasn't going to do anything about it? 2 days ago. I love you, dude. I'm on board. You're doing God's work. This is not what God would advise you to do. God would advise men to leave the country. Like I have guys say that to me too, right? But God would advise a man leaving from you, right? Because it's in the Bible. What you ladies are doing is in the Bible, right? I can look it up right now. I can go Bible verses about a woman scorned, right? Proverbs 5, 3 to 4. For the lips of an adulterous woman, of adulterous drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil, but in the end she is bitter as gall, sharp as a two-edged sword. Who is that we just saw? That. Isaiah 54 says God likens his people to a scorned and rejected wife. The Lord will call you back as if you were a wife deserted and distressed in spirit, a wife who married young only to be rejected, says your God. But better to live on a corner or the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. There's things in the Bible that talks about you ladies. And what do you see? A whole bunch of females scorned because they're living in it, right? They're dating men that are scorned. And what's happening, what I'm talking about it, because men are falling victim that aren't scorned. Men that are already healed. And what are men saying now? Living life and be. I play that meme for a reason.
About this Megan Thee Stallion shit breakup and really all of the like dating discourse this week and like dealing with men, all of that shit. What I feel like women need to realize is that most men hate themselves. Like most men legitimately hate, do not like, do not have a reason to love themselves, like 100%. And so when you are dealing with a man and you're having problems with him, you need to step back and apply that filter to the situation. So much of what we go through as a society, and I'm talking from the micro, like things like this, right? Being cheated on by a man that has bought you a house, promised so many things to you in the way of commitment, and then suddenly it's like, oh, monogamy is too much, to the macro of white supremacy and rape culture and, you know, things like why marriage is a prison for women and not a reward, like all of that. It is fundamentally a result of not just patriarchy, but even more fundamentally than that, the fact that men hate themselves.
Feminism.
All of the collective suffering that we are dealing with that comes from systems of oppression can be traced back from this place. If you're being told that as a man your value comes from doing XYZ things and you either can't do that, tried to do that and failed, or you did it and succeeded and you still don't feel better about yourself, you think that this is a person who's going to have high self-esteem. This is why they go after women. This is why they are with women, because where else can they siphon that love from? Self-love does not even feel like a possibility to them at all. And like we like to blame patriarchy for this, and absolutely patriarchy is the cause of this, but it is also the thing actively sustaining it. It is also the thing giving it its life force and constantly reinforcing this to be true. It's a complete negative feedback loop. And so this is why, like, personally, like my personal philosophy is not to commit to men for this reason.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
Like if I'm ever in any kind of commitment with a man or some kind of partnership, like it is always purely transactional with me benefiting from the transaction. And so this is why I tell women, like, I do not feel like relationships between men and women can be anything other than transactional without the women setting the terms for said transactions, right? Like I fundamentally believe that if we approached relationships that way between men and women, like everyone will be happier, even including men.
You heard what she said? It has to be transactional. So you must be selling that cat. A lot of guys may be interested. You gotta throw that wig and some makeup on her, but I'm sure she does. Man, You saying some things. Transactional, huh?
And my
Interesting.
thing with this is like so much of this whole like patriarchy and like cheating and
Patriarchy.
seeing women as like property and trying to infantilize and disenfranchise women, like if we were to step back and diagnose and dissect like where this is coming from and see it from that place, like it would be so much easier for everyone to give themselves what they needed, right? Like if I'm ever going to commit to a man, like there's three things I need to have. One, the things that I need. Two, things that I want. And three, shit just because. If I don't have those three things, I'm not involved, right? And like even when you do have those three things, you should still be ready, willing, and able to leave. And so to my point about, relationships.
But the sad part is, right? You ladies, you put men in a circle. The men that you, even with the other lady, right? That's pulling those evil tricks on men. Probably her baby daddy. You put men in a circle. The circle that females created. You created on social media and in your life. You give a select few men the attention. Those men third keep you in that loop. And you ladies are getting diseases and heartbroken and everything from those same group of men. It's wild. Think about it, right? Ladies are not talking to me. You see so many ladies saying, "Oh no, I need a man to talk to me," but most men aren't talking. But men are still talking. Who are the men talking? They pulling all of this crazy stuff on men, but it's not every man. So a lot of you guys may not have to worry, right? Who were they pulling this on? She's talking, oh, I might as well be transactional. She's talking about selling that thing. Who was she selling it to?
Between women and men needing to be transactional, a lot of this comes from the fact that one, men hate themselves, and two, like men naturally want to be subservient to the women in their lives. They naturally want to serve the women in their lives. Like that is a very natural impulse to them, and they spend their entire lives fighting that impulse because of patriarchy. And so when you're fighting the very thing that you were created to do, the very thing that you feel called to do, the very thing that feels like, I feel like I want to do this, but everything is telling me that I'm not supposed to. You think that these are people who are like sane? You think these are people who like are right in the head, who are not actively going through psychosis day in and day out? Like when you really think about patriarchy, like nobody is winning. Like there's nobody in this equation that is like better off as a result of patriarchy, right? And so this is why men go so far to like dehumanize women and to devalue and invalidate the very real trauma that comes from being a woman in modern society, because God forbid they realize that they're in the same struggle, and that by trying to please men instead of naturally using that impulse that they feel towards women, right, and choosing to please men instead because that's what patriarchy tells them to do, they don't realize how doing that oppresses them too. And so because they spend all this time trying to deny their natures, that's why they end up acting the ways that they do. That's why they provoke women. That's why they try to make them feel less than. Like that is where it comes from. Because
No, it comes from what you just said. You keeping the loop open. She just said, I might as well sell a box. I break it down in small words, right? Keep it short. So who are you going to sell it to? Because the men that get it from everybody are not buying the box. So you're going to have some men who are saying, yeah, I need to live my life, go to work, and not waste time. Some of the guys that watch this may buy that box, right? And then you'll say, oh, yeah, that's guys just want that guy. The never ending loop. And you're a victim. Why are you talking about making everything transactional?
they're too
I'm gonna let it
scared
play.
to look like a bitch because of patriarchy. And yes, I absolutely do mean one-sided transactional relationships, because women consistently benefit and better all of the spaces that they're in, all of the people that they're around, all of the people that they invest in when their needs are met reliably and consistently. And so when a woman is being
See,
treated
so
well, when a woman's needs are being met, everybody benefits. Everybody wins. This is why women having autonomy is so scary to men, because they use that autonomy to make life affirming decisions. And if you're someone who hates yourself and you don't feel like you are allowed to like make life affirming choices, to do things that make you feel good, to invest in yourself, to have self authorship, to be autonomous and sovereign, that is going to feel like a mockery to you. Somebody stepping out in faith and doing something because they feel like they deserve it, because they just want to, because they just love themselves, is going to feel like a personal attack. And so you have all these people walking around hating themselves, right? And watching the people that they were told to own and objectify and basically exploit, right? Like making choices and being free and being happy and doing that without them. Deciding that this, even though the entire world is built around telling everyone that they're supposed to need them to be able to be happy, and they're still choosing to not do that, and they're thriving, that feels like a mockery to them. Absolutely. These are not people with good self-esteem, and that's why I feel like accountability be so hard for men, because it feels too close to that self-hate, right? Like if they were to be accountable, like it's like the self-hate would just come crashing down on them, so they have to double down, right? They have to double down on being a dickhead, being an ain't shit nigga. Like so much of this is like niggas just wanting to die, respectfully. Niggas just wanting to die, feeling so worthless and hating themselves so much. They're like, I just want to be dead, but they be too scared to do that shit. It's that simple. It's that simple. And that's why they be doing that dumb shit and provoking people and being a dickhead so that they could be called exactly what they feel like. And then because you're the one who said it, they get to be mad at you and not them for feeling that way about themselves in the first place. For feeling that way about themselves in the first place when their dad said that shit, when their homeboy said that, when the OG that they look up to said that. That's all the is, right? And so I tell women, like, this is the world that we live in, right? Like patriarchy is the backbone of modern society, unfortunately, right? And so if you are going to deal with men, if you are going to want to participate with men, you absolutely have to move like this. You absolutely have to be transactional. You have to absolutely have to take all that love shit out of it and see that as an after, right? Like I fundamentally do not get into relationships with men because I do not believe on a foundational level that they can meet my requirements for partnership, for relationship. It is
so
simply not
you get
possible,
money.
right? And the level of reflection and unlearning and you know, just complete remaking of the self that is required, right, in order to unlearn patriarchy, to learn to love yourself as a man, to be able to show up for society, for the collective, for women, the way that women deserve, right? Like that's why I say the most courageous thing you can do as a man is love a woman, treat a woman well. It is the most courageous thing you can do. And that's why so many of them don't do it, because it makes them look like a bitch to other niggas. Right? Because other niggas feel like shit watching them. And that's why all these male subs are winning. Any man who is submissive, any man who has a woman who like bosses him around or doesn't do anything and, you know, just shows up looking pretty and he handles everything, those are the happiest niggas you'll ever meet in your life.
They are?
Those are the happiest niggas. And people look at me like, oh, like, well, you know, they try to say like, because they think I'm dominant because I have men who like do what the I say, right? Do what the I say. And when I say shut the up, they shut the right? And like they think that means that, oh, I'm so domineering and I'm making these men feel like shit. No, right? Dealing with me is the first time these niggas love themselves ever. That's why they love it here.
Oh, she's
That's why they love it here. And so women, I'm telling you,
man,
you got to move with this in mind, right? Like if you are going to step to niggas like this, if you're going to put yourself in a position where shit is tied up in documents, you know, contracts, you're feeling attachments and shit like that, you got to be willing to charge that shit to the game when it goes south, because you know already what the potential risks are. You have to go in knowing that. It can't be all love and light and love a girl this, love a girl that. You got to protect your neck.
Man, that girl, I should have looked into more videos. She's a hardcore prostitute. Hardcore. You guys heard the lingo, right? You guys were picking it up. Well, she wasn't trying to beat around the bush. She was saying, I do this and I have guys that are submissive to me. You know, those kind of guys, those white guys saying, there's even some black guys who want me around on a leash. I'm all for it. Yeah, and welcome. That's what she's into. I bet you. I bet you. Tell the guy, yeah, give me $1,000. I know you got it. Okay, mistress. I forgot her name. I don't got her name here. Mistress Keisha. Mistress Keisha. I'll give you anything you need. I know that's right. Men are happy with you telling them what to do. Like you said, patriarchy. That's not patriarchy. That's a man. Patriarchy. Men are being men, and they always use patriarchy. But I'll tell you this. Yes, the patriarchy, because men know when they're dealing with ladies like you, right? What do they call you? From what you're talking about? They're modern day Jezebels. And the patriarchy system that will call you a modern day Jezebel is God, and it's the Bible. These ladies are lost, man. But yeah, guys, thank y'all for watching. This video was a little stressful because everything they're talking about is like, why? This is why men avoid. Yeah, the West is done. But yeah, y'all, thank y'all for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Other than that, peace out. See you next video.
The Iceman is coming!
Winter is here.